Preparing to live stream.
All right. The rate of global sea level rise is accelerating. Satellite-based monitoring estimates sea level rise of 0.14 inches or 3.6 millimeters per year. Communities that thrive on coastal landscapes face catastrophic events and economic losses apart from the prevalent environmental perturbations. The Indonesia Landscape Architecture Student Workshop 2022 has invited thinkers to take on the challenge of creating a comprehensive landscape plan for a coastal community in Central Java, Indonesia. With this year's theme, Coastal Landscape and Coastal Ecology, it is my honor to kickstart this event where we will showcase six presentations from our very own undergraduate landscape architecture students. I'm Charles Justine de Rapisa, and I will be your moderator for this morning. I'm currently enjoying a lovely weather here in Tagaytay. So I do hope you're all having a lovely morning too, whether you're joining via our YouTube channel, that is Environmental Landscape Studio Laboratory. And please don't forget to subscribe and share our channel, especially or via Zoom. Good morning to all of you. The Indonesia Landscape Architecture Student Workshop, or simply ILAS, is a biennial event organized by the Student Association of Landscape Architecture held for 4 days. This year, 9 of our undergraduate landscape architecture students have joined the workshop and won 3 coveted group awards and 1 special award. Your achievements bring so much joy to the faculty members of the college, and for that, let me extend my warmest congratulations to all of you. Let's give them a round of applause, everyone. All right, but we will learn more about the proposals in the next few minutes. All right, this year's ILAS also took me down a memory lane, along with other 5 undergraduate landscape architecture students to represent the college and the university. But this year, I was given the honor, and I must say a platform, to share my research interest on integrating digital landscape architecture in coastal monitoring and natural resources conservation. Digital landscape architecture is the digital approaches to the design of landscapes. This could be the use of any technology or digitized software that help us design landscapes better, be it the use of surveying equipment, geographic information system, or GIS, even the use of cell phone cameras to document our sites. On the other hand, digital landscape architecture could also mean a representation of the actual physical world, like, for example, designing augmented reality, virtual reality, and the common SketchUp models and touch-up rendering software that we commonly use. I specifically discussed a component of digital landscape architecture, which is the use of drones or unmanned aerial vehicles, satellite imageries, and remote sensing in coastal monitoring. First, I briefly discussed remote sensing, which is the process of detecting and monitoring the physical characteristics of an area by measuring its reflected and emitted radiation at a distance. I then proceeded to discussing the different uses of remote sensing to coastal environments like monitoring shoreline changes, mapping coastal features, and charting coastal wildlife ecosystems. But lastly, I have also introduced the software called Google Earth Engine and how it can transform Earth scans from satellites into geospatial maps essential for monitoring, conservation, and coastal landscape features. I'm sure you're all excited to learn more about the students' proposals. To begin, let us have Adrian Ray Thailand to discuss his group's proposal, Banyu Mankur. Ajer, the screen is yours.
Wait lang po. Narinig po ba ako?
Yes, we can hear you.
Naka-disable po yung screen share.
All right, our technical team will handle that. Hold on.
You can now share.
Hello po. Nakikita po ba yung screen ko?
Yes, Ager. Go ahead.
Okay po. Wait lang. So, good day. Today, I'll be presenting our entry for the International Landscape Architecture Student Workshop titled Coastal Landscape Design, Banyaman Curve. So, Banyaman Curve basically means fountain in English, which we have used as a concept for our project. So, the following are my teammates doing the project. So, I'm not really sure what university they came from. So, Muhammad Iklas, may Adrian Ray M. Thailand, Diva Nabila Marwa, Priscilla Novita, Kolishoto ni Amila. And so for the introduction, in recent years, flooding has threatened Indonesia's coastal areas. The affected area is expanding, causing losses in the surrounding community. One of the affected areas is Kelurahan Panjang Wetan. The area has been flooded a lot of time. Coastal erosion, tidal inundation, fluvial floods, water supply, land subsidence, and landslides are among the landscape issues that have been identified. So next is the site location. So the site is Pekalongan. It is a district in the Central Java province. It has a land area of 4,525 hectares and a population of approximately 903,100 people in 2020. So its territory is bounded by the Java Sea, Pekalongan City, and Pemalang Regency, consisting of 4 districts: the West Pekalongan, East Pekalongan, North Pekalongan, and South Pekalongan districts. So these are the composite maps that were provided by the organizers, and we use it as a reference to analyze the site. So you can see in the hydrology map that the different water bodies existing on the site and also the levels of the basin. So if you observe the map, the southern part has the highest basin level. Then next is the land use map. You can see in the land use map that majority of the areas within the site are urban and residential buildings. There are also existing industrial and commercial buildings, fishing port, rivers, and fish pond. Then there are also in the rainfall map, the site has you can see there that the site has an average of 1,200 to 1,800 millimeters per year. Then this is the slope map, and you can see there that most of the areas in the site has 0 to 8% slope, and the vegetation density map, and most of the areas have low vegetation density. And lastly, the soil map. So the type of soil in the site is alluvial hydromorph. So then we have also mapped the circulation system within the site. You can see in these maps the major and minor roads. So major roads are two-way roads that can be accessed by cars and other vehicles, while the minor roads can only be accessed by pedestrian and motorbikes. Then next are the existing fish ponds within the site, then the green open spaces. So next, so this is the table that we have made to show the problems within the site and our proposed solution. So for the first problem, so pluvial flood. So this occurs when an extreme rainfall event creates a flood independent of an overflowing water body. So as a solution, we propose a rain garden which functions as a collector of rainwater runoff, and sponge park, reducing low sewage contamination, thus helping to clean the watershed, and polder as a way of handling tidal flooding, which includes regional drainage system, retention pond, embankment around the area, pumps, and sluice gate. Then next problem is the land subsidence. So it is a gradual sweating or sudden sinking of the earth's surface due to removal or displacement of subsurface earth materials. So as a solution, we have proposed an apartment with water supply management. So to coastal slopes and creation of organized areas to address this issue. So we can manage the apartment's water by collecting rainwater and reducing groundwater extraction, and also tree planting to prevent landslides. And next problem is a fluvial or river flood. So this occurs when the water level in a river, lake, or stream rises and overflows onto the neighboring land. So what we propose is a riprap to protect the shoreline structure against the scoring and water, wave, or erosion. Then river embankment to prevent water from a river or sea from flooding in the area. And bioswales, which can absorb low flows or carry runoff from heavy rains to stormwater, sewer inlets, or directly to surface waters. Then the next problem is the coastal erosion. It is the process by which local sea level rise, strong wave action, and coastal flooding wear down or carry away rock, soil, or sand along the coast. So as a solution, we have this mangrove planting to prevent erosion, protect the soil, and people who live from We live there from waves and storms while also providing important habitat of 4,000 of species. So for the water supply, maintaining wetlands, the sponge garden concept, and rainwater harvesting system. So next. So this is our master plan. You can see there are proposed areas and facilities that will also be beneficial for the coastal community, considering the problems that were identified. So first, we have proposed areas for agricultural space, institutional area, residential area, community facilities, public open space, commercial space, and industrial area. So starting from the coastline, mangrove plantation will be done to protect the community from strong waves and prevent erosion. Then you can also see the riprap and polder that we have proposed along the coastline, which will also help prevent flood in the community. We have located the public open space. Near the shoreline where the sponge park will be located to catch the water before it enters other areas of the site. And on the right side will be the agricultural space where also the bridging port was maintained. We have decided to locate the agricultural space in this area to utilize the existing river along it for the irrigation system. Then there will also be an industrial area beside the agricultural space where manufacture and processing of the local products will occur. We have located the industrial area around the commercial and agricultural area for the raw products to be easily transferred for it to be processed and transported in the commercial area. Within the commercial area will be a public market where people in the site can buy their basic needs. Then beside the commercial area is the residential area. So we have located the residential area on this side so people will have an easy access to the public open space and commercial area and other community facilities. Within the residential area will be a community garden where people can plant edible plants for them to eat and also a place to relax. This will also help the community to be sustainable. Lastly, the area for the community facilities were located in the area with the highest elevation for it to be safe from flood. In this area, you can find the tourism center, evacuation center, and disaster risk management office. Furthermore, you can see the proposed minor and major roads that will connect all of the areas and important facilities within the site. So, as I have said a while ago, the concept that we have used is a multi-stage fountain. So the idea was inspired by the principle of multi-stage fountain. Water that cannot be accommodated at the first level will flow to the second level reservoir, making its application as a flood solution. And this is a 3D model that we have made to show how our concept was applied in our project. So you can see there the mangrove plantation which will protect the coastline from strong waves. That wherever the waves are too strong and water level rises, the riprap on this area will be the one to protect the site. If the water level gets too high, we have also considered using a polder to catch the water before it enters the sponge park. The sponge park will act as the final destination of storm waters and flood water coming from sea if ever the polder cannot hold more water and other water bodies. And water supply management as a solution to coastal slums and creation of organized areas to address the issue. We can manage the water by collecting rainwater and reducing groundwater extraction. The use of plants as a preventive strategy for long-term disasters, and sponge garden concept as a rainwater harvesting system. The harvested water is used as a source of water for agriculture and household needs. And these are some views from the coast. And this is the view of the riprap, and this is the view from the coast going to the public open space, and this is a view from the watchtower. And this is the view of the polder and the mangrove view deck, the mangrove boardwalk. Then this is the view of the beach and the sponge garden, and the view from the watchtower and the apartments. That's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. All right, thanks for that, Ager. We're gonna learn more about your proposal later on, so please stand by for the Q&A. All right, moving forward, let us have Irish Castillo and Daphne Corfus to present their project, Responsive City. Irish, Daphne, the screen is yours.
All right,
Perfect.
thank you so much, Prof. Charles. So let's just wait for Daphne to share our screen. All right, thank you so much, Daphne. To our distinguished guests, professors, and dear participants, a pleasant morning to all of you. Our group, which consists of Mentor Bintang from Indonesia, Elo Salwa Salsavila, Jordan Hitaria from Institut Technology Sumatera, Fayeg Hanif from IPB University, Riz Nawati from Unitri Malang, Daphne Corpus, and yours truly from University of the Philippines Diliman College of Architecture, would like to take this opportunity to start our presentation with a campaign, a pledge, to strongly call on the local and national government, as well as the concerned international organization, to join us in the call for the conservation and protection of our coastal landscapes. We recognize the fact that our role doesn't stop here in this presentation, but beyond the spirit of this competition. Thus, our group, although desired to win this design contest, nonetheless would also like to sincerely participate in this rare moment to make architecture student workshop a platform to urge, collaborate, and advocate for an empowered and resilient coastal community. Hence, have made us develop a responsive city leveraging nature as a hub for transformation. As introduced, Pakalangan is located in the northern coastal lowland of Java. The conditions are driving the region into areas that are vulnerable to climate change, flood, and tidal floods. To help the community cope, this design aims to propose nature-based solutions centered around the sponge city concept, with particular emphasis on the three zones, namely revitalization, cultural, and settlement zone, to achieve a resilient coastal community. To examine the site, SWOT analysis was utilized to identify the area's key points of improvement, and this will be further discussed in the coming slides. After we collect and process spatial data such as slope, land elevation, rainfall, soil type, and land use, we determined areas that are prone to flooding. We formulated these areas in a composite map. Areas that are light in color indicate a high level of flood vulnerability, while dark areas indicate a very high level of flood vulnerability. Furthermore, our design proposal is mainly based on the problems identified in the site analysis and the composite map. For the flood inundation, we proposed a recurved wall with sloped revetment as a short-term goal while waiting for the mangroves to grow, which is the long-term solution. A bioswale, rain garden, and constructed wetlands to reduce runoff, a green corridor and green roof systems address the disconnection of areas and counter the potential heat. A water plaza to store and supply water to specific area, as a lack of alternative water sources has led to excessive groundwater extraction and caused significant and large subsidence. And we would also like to maximize investment opportunities through aquaculture and heritage promotion as part of our ecotourism initiatives.
And these approach strategies are translated into our sponge city concept that prevents flooding and restores ecology. It features 3 significant zones which do not only restore Pekalongan City's ecology, but also its identity through the available activities offered within the site. To further explain the management zoning, this illustration shows you our proposed space programming. Under the revitalization zone, it features the mangrove area, the beach area, aquaculture area, water plaza area, and the fishing port. It mainly boosts the city's revenue, provides jobs, transforms the current infrastructure by keeping to the trend, and strengthens the relationship between the citizens and foreign visitors, all while aiming to preserve and conserve the area by our employed management staff. The next one is the cultural zone, which basically exhibits the cultural dimension of the city by connecting the museum and their well-known batik to create a sense of placemaking. And the last one is the settlement zone, which showcases mixed-use activities for the users to enjoy. And to further visualize our concept, this master plan introduces a sponge city where people, the city, and the water coexist harmoniously. I'm going to let you have a walkthrough of the site, so please make yourselves become a tourist. The revitalization zone offers multiple experiential activities. Aside from appreciating the mangrove trees, the scenic view of the beach, and the chance to witness our fishermen parking their boats in the fishing port, you can also do farming and fishing in the aquaculture pond, and you can overlook the area or experience bird watching using the deck. The deck also connects with the cultural zone as it exhibits the byproduct of batik where visitors can buy souvenirs from. Moreover, the cultural zone features 3 stations, all of which are connected by a green corridor. At the first station, the introduction of batik takes place by maximizing the existing museum with the aim of filling the knowledge gap of what really batik is and its history. The second station is where the preparation of materials happens, for instance, where enchanting materials along with the provision of a storage area are located. Meanwhile, at the third station, it is the actual exhibition or the central market of batik, where people can appreciate the city's culture. As there are open fields, visitors can also make use of the spaces for the execution of batik patterns or the creation of the batik itself while relaxing or spending time with their families. And here are the spot perspectives of the view deck and the stations found in the zoning. Below, you can visualize the spot elevation of the cultural stations. While here on the left side is an illustration of a recurved wall with a sloped revetment. And the one on the right is an inspiration of a mangrove forest to be incorporated into the design. To conclude, our design concept, the Sponge City, is a new solution to the problems produced in the city development process in Pekalongan City. With the support of countless academic journals and research, it can be proven that it is the best way for the underlying cities to sustainably develop. So that is all from Group 5, and we're delighted to have shared with you our group's hard-earned output. Thank you so much for listening. And please feel free to take a look at our poster on this slide. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you for that, Daphne and Irish. I did enjoy your presentation. We are already down to our third presentation this morning, but don't worry, to our viewers, you will be given ample time to learn more about our presenters project later in the Q&A session. All right. But for the meantime, let me also formally welcome our Indonesian viewers. Welcome to our event. Thank you for supporting our presenters and event this morning. All right. To keep the ball rolling, may we give the floor to Rafael Luis Liaban to showcase their project, Place of Synergy. Rafael, the screen is yours. Perfect.
Thank you, Sir Charles. Let me just share my screen for the presentation. So, naked. So good morning, everyone. I'm going to present my team 2's proposal for Panjang Wetan in Pekalongan City of entitled Place of Synergy. So here's just a run through of the table of contents. We're not gonna go through that anymore. You'll see it later. So over the past 10 years, the coastal region of Pekalongan City has experienced the phenomenon of flooding and has almost submerged coastal areas almost daily. Floods have submerged 51% of the total area of Pekalongan City with a maximum inundation height of 1.1 meters. So this is from an academic article entitled Tidal Flooding and Coastal Adaptation Responses in Pekalongan City. So here's some pictures of the tidal flooding events in the coast. And first, I'm going to set some context for the site. So the site is in Java, the world's most populous island, where approximately 55% of the Indonesian population resides. And the climate of Java, its natural environment is mostly tropical rainforest with coastal mangrove forests on the north coast, which happens to be the location of our site, Pekalongan City, which houses Central Java's most important port and is famous for the local traditional craft of batik, which is a method of fabric dyeing and design. So next, the specific site within the city of Pekalongan we have is includes actually 2 administrative divisions of Panjang Wetan and Panjang Baru. So this covers approximately 235 hectares, we see it here, and is bordered on the east side by the Pekalongan River. In the west, there are fish ponds here. To the north is the Java Sea, and to the south is the rest of the city. So quick facts about the area. The population consists of 21,000 people, so about around 5 families with an area of 235 hectares, population of 6,800 people per square kilometer. So here, my group divided the site into 5 areas for analysis, divide the work between all of us, as well as to display what we think is an appropriate development order, starting with the coastline and heading down into the inner city. So first is area 1, which its most prominent feature are these large fish ponds indicated here in blue. They make up most of the area of this part of the site, and the rest of the area being dedicated to residential housing. Here we can see a picture of the street view on the coastal road with the revetment and the houses right up next to the road. So next, area 2 to the west, to the east side of that, its most prominent features are on the coastline with the Pekalongan Fish Port here, and the Pantai Pasir Can, which is a public open space on the beach. Next, area 3 is here to the middle west side, and mostly it's residences again, with its most prominent feature being this large open space here, which is the Pekalongan Heroes Cemetery. Then area 4, which is around the center, along the river, we start to see industries as well as other public services interspersed here in this central green area around the residences. So here we have an industry like this ice factory, the Pekalongan prison, and this hospital MPS Pekalongan. And lastly, area 5, we see a lot more is interspersed within the residences, as well as public spaces like the Pekalongan City Health Office, the most prominent in the Pekalongan, but on the left, and to the back we see there's also ILAWS Mosque, and here there's also a Christian church, a GK. So part of our inventory, we looked at the population type. We found 2 main highways that connect the site from north to south, and the rest of the site. And my group mates also created a inventory of the site's local vegetation. However, in the local names and scientific names, however, I cannot read to you. It would be a waste of time, and I don't know how to speak Indonesian. So next is our evaluation. So these are some thematic maps given to us by the event organizers. And from this, we can observe that most of the site really is residences here marked in red. And these are the fish ponds mentioned earlier. And this in blue is the port area. And we can see on the coast a very small line of mangrove forest. So this will be significant later. We'll be expanding on that. Then here are some thematic maps of the flooding events. So the one on the left being from 2021 and the one right from 2022, if I'm not mistaken. So interestingly, we can see that actually most of the flooding is, the heaviest flooding is concentrated here in the middle of the site around the river rather than at the coast. So we interpreted this as being the fish ponds here serve to as a barrier against the tidal floods. So we'll be expanding on that. And here's the hydrology map showing the river systems within the site. So next, we identified what we think are the strengths, the SWOT analysis. So for strengths, we think the strength is the local culture, local fishing industry, and their access to services within the site. Weaknesses being their small amount of green space, and the residences within the hazard zones, particularly near the river and the coastline, and there being no buffers between them. And for opportunities, we think that the existing mangrove ecosystem native to the site and the region as a whole is a good opportunity, as well as its strong highway connections. And we think that there is also a strong opportunity for ecotourism within the area. And for threats, as shown earlier, the topography is relatively flat. So when tidal floods come in, it inundates the entire area, and the elevation is low as well, so it's below sea level. So our proposal is for our design concept, we would take inspiration from the local batik Pekalongan culture of traditional dyeing pattern. So it looks like if you look here in the back of the slide, it looks like that. So in our design, we take visual inspiration from this for elements to ground it in the local character and traditions. But aside from the aesthetic considerations, we, in an abstract sense, we also seek to tie the site together. Hence our title, Place of Synergy. So for our strategies, we take upon this concept of the sponge city, as mentioned earlier by the other groups, which seeks to, it's a stormwater management principle in its essence that allows for the infiltration and retention of water in permeable surface in the urban environment. And next is flood adaptive landscapes. So we cannot change that this is the natural conditions of the site. However, we can adapt local practices to this reality. So for our master plan, here's the master plan we formulated. So firstly, here marked in blue, this is the open spaces, some of the open spaces and public areas that are available on the site currently. And we designate this as an evacuation area. So they connect, the way to reach them is through the main avenues of travel on the site. So this is the evacuation route. Then for our mitigation strategies on the coastline, we indicated this area dedicated to mangrove forests, both to shield from tidal flooding, as well as being sort of ecotourism attraction. And the fish ponds as well will be expanded to serve not only its aquaculture purpose, but also as detention ponds and to protect the rest of the area. Then here in yellow are the buffers along the river, because that is also necessary because flooding comes from the river. So this will be devoted to green open space, as well as other structural mitigation techniques like revetments along the coast and on the river. And in red here, the red hatch, we indicate the areas that are most at risk that we proposed new housing development to be developed that are on stilts, so to be adapted to the flooding of the environment. My group mates thought that it would be a good idea to use the local idea of the traditional housing raised above the ground level, because currently they're not like that. So here are some of the elements. So the coastal mangrove forest, we take inspiration from batik again for the forms. And here's a section of the coastal road. So now there's like the buffer of the mangroves and the revetment, and then a setback from the actual coastal part from the housing. So next, for our stormwater management suggestions, proposals, we have bioswales on the major highways and roads that will allow for it, as well as detention ponds. And then the detention pond perspective you see here also takes inspiration from the floral patterns in batik. So this will include all the green open spaces I showed you earlier in the master plan to serve as a buffer. Then for the flood resistant housing, here is a perspective of some of the housing proposed on stilts so that it could be above the water level during the tidal flooding events. So here's some of the traditional houses that we took inspiration from for this. These aren't Javanese though, they're other Indonesian. Yes. Then lastly, not lastly, but the coastal and river revetments. So some structural mitigation techniques need to be taken in the short term in order for the other proposals to be allowed to mature. So on the coast, as well as on the river side, these take the form of revetments to protect from the tidal inundation. Then lastly, so early warning system for disaster. So a plan for large flooding events will be set out, and the system will be used to inform local inhabitants so that they can prepare themselves and evacuate the area during in the case of large destructive floods. And we don't have any visualization of this other than in the map. So here's a picture of some sirens. So lastly, here are our boards. So we have two. Here's the first one, the second, and finally, I'd like to shout out my group mates. So here is my team 2. So it includes Rico, Saputra, me, Mohammed, Aditya, Maria Noventina, and Putri Wolby. I apologize for the pictures. This is just our profiles on WhatsApp where we communicate during this workshop. And here's a drawing that one of my group mates made. Maria made this after the after the workshop. There's me in blue wearing the same shirt. So thank you very much for listening. And yeah. Next.
All right. Thank you for that, Rafael. No. Again, for our viewers, you may type in your comments in the YouTube comment section and our technical team will collate them. Sorry, not comment, questions. Or you may also share any thoughts on the presentations. All right. Our technical team will handle your questions. Next, we have two representatives again from our college for the next presentation. Let us have Maria Camille Frisha Delavin and Ivy Zairish Ong to showcase their group's project, Anagata.
Hello, can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Wait. Okay, good morning everyone. We are the fourth group, and the fourth group is composed of me, Camille Delavin, Ivy Ong, and we both came from the University of the Philippines. We also have Dewa Fatyar Fisabila, Aditya Aji Pamungkas, which both came from the IPB University or Institut Pertanian Bogo, and Gita Ednadia Santosa from the Institut Technology Sumatera. Also, special thanks to our mentor, to Bang Rizky Rahadjan Ramdani. So moving on, as you can see, our project is entitled Anagata. Why Anagata? Anagata is a Sanskrit word which means the future. And this translates to the future environmental outcome of the Pekalongan city once the project Anagata comes into life. The place will become where the good things will gather, and as will be proposed, a sustainable, beautiful, and cultural field environment for everyone awaits. Moving on, the Panjang Baru and Panjang Wetan village is located at the North Pekalongan district, Pekalongan Regency, Central Java. Panjang Wetan is the name of a village in Pekalongan subdistrict with an area of 235 hectares and a population of 21,379 people, or approximately 5,163 families. The Panjang Wetan area starts from the Logi River Bridge to the border of Pasir Kencana Beach, or commonly known as the Nyebom Sea. Pekalongan City is a lowland area with an altitude of 0 to 2 meters above sea level, and the shape of the land surface is relatively flat with a slope of between 0 to 8%. This flat surface shape shows that the level of soil movement in Pekalongan City is low, but it is prone to inundation, especially in areas on the north coastline. In addition to inundation due to tidal waves, the area is also prone to tidal flooding, and also the rising sea level has been damaging the landscape from early 2000 until now. Next, we have Ivy.
So for our site analysis, these are the thematic maps that my groupmate generated using ArcGIS. The first one shows the distance from the seashore. The area highlighted in red is less than 50 meters away from the coast and is considered as disaster-prone area. Next, as mentioned, the site is located in a lowland area with elevation ranges from 0 to 1.7 meters above sea level. For its slope, its land surface is relatively flat with a slope of between 0 to 8%. For its land use, it is mostly composed of residential buildings with patches of green open spaces, fish ponds, and other commercial buildings. Lastly, the areas near the coast and river have high vulnerability to tidal flooding. Next slide, please.
Okay, continuing, for a more in-depth look at the area of interest, we use a SWOT analysis. For the area strength, we have taken into account that the land surface is relatively flat, and because of this, the level of soil movement is low. Commercial industrial establishments and the fishing port are also adjacent to primary roads. For the weakness, the village is located in a lowland area with an altitude of 0 to 2 meters above sea level. There's also a significant lack of proper drainage system, and also the area suffers from household waste and lack of waste management. For the opportunities, based on the land use map, the site has patches of green spaces, mangrove forest, fish pond, and a fishing port that could be further developed or enhanced to boost ecotourism, which will be the key to provide livelihood for the community. The area is connected with Halan Diponegoro and Halan Sultan Agung roads, which conveniently connect the village to the Pekalongan district. And lastly, for the threats, we figure that many settlements are currently situated at disaster-prone areas, which are greatly affected by inundation and tidal flooding. The site is also prone to inundation, prone to tidal flooding, and has water contamination potential due to household waste mismanagement. Now, before we proceed with the design, we identified the existing issues surrounding the Pekalongan city, which hampers the area's growth, and along with it are our proposed long-term solutions. So for the prone to inundation, especially in areas on the north coastline, could be solved with floodplains. We have sea dike, mangrove, coastal wetlands for the area being prone to tidal flooding due to tidal waves or coastal flooding. Many settlements are also currently situated in disaster-prone areas, so we are thinking of relocating these settlements and using the concept of rumah susun for the flats condominium with rooftop garden for the village's sustenance. And lastly, for the potential water contamination due to household waste, we are looking into using the phytoremediation approach for both the mangrove forest and wetlands. But this will be discussed further later on. So, as for our design approach, we're going to utilize the Ridge to Reef approach. The Ridge to Reef approach aims to provide a holistic intervention for protecting the coastal area by targeting environmental degradation in the uplands or the ridge that impact coastal ecosystems through sedimentation by restoring the shoreline and protecting marine ecosystems or the reef, thereby mitigating storm surges, coastal and inland flooding, and reduce people's exposure and vulnerability to these hazards. At the same time, aiming to provide direct livelihood benefits to targeted households and stakeholders in the project.
So our design targets major completion of the 3 Sustainable Development Goal components, number 11, 14, and 15, which prioritize sustainable and resilient cities and communities while maintaining marine ecosystem and all life on land. Next slide, please. And our design concept is inspired with Pekalongan's batik. It is a traditional cloth dyeing that combines various elements such as plant and animal motifs. Because of this, we applied matrix patterns in the forms of our design, and we also feature plants that are used as a natural dyes for batik. Next slide, please. And this is our master plan. We divided the site into different zones. First, we have the residential area that we situated it far from the coast and in the area with low vulnerability to tidal flooding. We also retain the existing green spaces at the site. Then we locate the commercial area near the fish ponds and fishing port to provide direct livelihood opportunities for the community. And then we also provide ecotourism sites, which are the wetland area with Batik Park, promenade, and mangrove forest. Other than being used for tourism, these areas also enhance the mitigation capacities of the community to tidal flooding, inundation, and sea level rise. And now let's take a look to the specific design interventions that we applied on the site.
So, for the settlements near the coastal areas and flood vulnerable sites, we relocated these housing or settlements into the parts wherein the area is elevated, making it less vulnerable to flood. And as you can see on the zonation of the area, the settlements are proposed to be built on the residential area, which is conveniently located near livelihood opportunities as this area has a relatively higher slope than that of those near the coast. Furthermore, we use the rumah susun as a framework for our proposed flats or condominium while also following a green infrastructure design. Rumah susun is well known for being a large cluster of apartment buildings and low-cost housing. These flats take little space but can house a large number of people. To add to the convenience of the flats, we are also proposing to add a rooftop garden to the flats for the settlers so that they will be able to support themselves by using these plants. The plants proposed are, but not limited to, Brassica oleracea, or broccoli, Brassica oleracea var capitata or cabbage, Docus carota or carrot, Brassica juncea or mustard, Solanum lycopersicum or tomatoes. Okay, so since the area is prone to inundation, especially the areas on the north coastline, we are proposing the use of floodplains to address this issue. Floodplains provide flood risk reduction benefits by slowing runoff and storing flood water. Floodplains also serve as storage and conveyance of water for the protection of water quality and recharge of groundwater. As for the problem of tidal flooding due to tidal waves or coastal flooding, the use of sea dikes, polders, or wetlands will be beneficial for the villagers. The wetlands provide natural defense against coastal flooding and storm surges by wave energy dissipation and erosion reduction, helping to stabilize shore sediments. In some locations, such as the Scheldt estuary, coastal wetlands can be used to absorb storm surge waters, attenuating flooding. The good news is that the Pekalongan City is currently building the embankment along the sea and river, which poses a chance for the designing of a promenade. The westland will also be utilized for wastewater management, which will incorporate phytoremediation plants for the extraction of contaminants in the water. The open areas near the wetlands will be used for an ecotourism park featuring plants used for batik. Some phytoremediation plants suitable for the wetlands, this one are namely the Typha latifolia, Rhizophora mangle, Equisetum hyamale, so on and so forth. And for the batik dyes, these are the Cananga odorata, Cinnamomum cp, Cisalpinia sapan, and so on. Okay, for the retaining of the green spaces, this will be used for the creation of a public green space for the villages. This could be turned into a community garden for their additional livelihood and sustenance. The spaces left from the relocation of the settlements will be used for the creation of an ecotourism park to strengthen the socio-economic relevance of the Pekalongan city. The ecotourism park, which is relatively near the wetlands, will feature plants used for batik dyes, which is a cultural symbol in Pekalongan city.
So as mentioned, one of our targets is to restore the shoreline and protect the marine ecosystems. With that, we enhance the existing mangrove habitat with the use of Rhizophora and Avicenna mangrove species, which are common in the area. Also, mangrove forests also help in addressing the site problems since it has strong roots that can prevent tidal flooding and abrasion along the coastline. Moreover, we developed this area into an ecotourism site, adding floating gazebos and boardwalks. Next slide, please. And lastly, we incorporate promenade tidal gates along the coastline and beside the river to mitigate tidal flooding. So basically, it has a seawall with concrete pontoon, and this pontoon will become a wall that will float if the part of the culvert structure is filled with water. And next slide, please. And
Here's
these
our
are boards that we presented during the workshop.
Yay.
Yes.
Finally, take a side. Okay. Terima kasih. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Camille and Ivy. And again, to our 77 YouTube viewers, feel free to let us know about your thoughts or questions for our presenters. All right, almost there. Down to our fifth presenter, let us have Hazel Grace Esmino and Dara Alea Almazan presenting their project, Ecoman.
Hello. So good morning, everyone. So we are Group G, and I, together with Dara Almazan, Dio Asmara, Sofia Febriani, Hui Ching, and with some help from Anggita Puri, have come up with a sustainable and efficient solution and strategies for the current problems in Panjangwetan, Pekalongan City. Our project, named Ecoman, is an eco-polycentric plan for Panjangwetan. Next slide, please. So for the problem, we have identified 4 major problems in the village. One would be the location and topography of the site, which make it prone to raw flood. Then the lab subsidence, lack of clean water, unmaintained fish ponds, and lack of livelihood. With this, we envision the city to reinforce a strong sense of community and identity among locals, supported by a culturally and economically inclusive eco-polycentric approach by combining natural and structural flood management strategies. Our vision is based on our 3 missions, which are sustainability, livelihood, and cultural empowerment. To summarize, we want to combine gray and blue-green infrastructures in order to mitigate the flood while providing livelihood opportunities without neglecting the culture and beliefs of the place. For our objectives, we want to develop a resilient design solution and plan that can adapt to stresses resulting from flood and creating a flood-resilient city through combining gray and blue-green infrastructure, considering the site's culture. Next slide, please. So for the site background, majority of the people in Panjang Wetan is Muslim, which is approximately 75,000 people. It is evident with the large number of mosques in the area. The average population is elementary graduates, and the majority of the population is fishermen. Next slide, please. We have also identified the political, economical, social, technological, legal, and environmental aspect of the site, but I'll not go into detail. To summarize, Islamic civil organization holds a strong place in political aspects. The main sources of income are the batik industry, agriculture, and marine industry. They are all affected by climate change and drought flooding. We have also analyzed the hydrology, land use, and disaster-prone area of the site for flood control and coastal defense. There should be a stream buffer to lessen the hazard in the village and a combination of gray and blue-green infrastructure in the high hazard zone of the area to reduce and slow the water. Lastly, we have analyzed the slope map, vegetation, and topography for zoning and multi-purpose facility plan. In summary, the site is rich in natural and cultural resources, but the semi-flat topography of the site makes it prone to flooding. Next slide, please. For the SWOT analysis, we can see that coastal restoration would bring a positive impact on the environmental and economic aspect of the village, but climate change and lack of awareness is still a threat in the area. Next slide, please. Taking the site's background site analysis, our vision and mission into consideration, we have come up with a general concept of Iman. Iman is an Indonesian term which means faith. Since faith is very important in Indonesian beliefs, as shown in their celebration Shawwal, where they believe that Shawwalan balloons will not pop because their intention is good. We want to make the people believe that our design strategies and plan would make them feel safe during the disaster. Having this said, our tangible concept would be batik since it is their traditional cloth, and we want to translate the repetitive process of making the batik to how our strategies can be replicated to other cities or villages with the same problem and situation. The different patterns and colors of batik can also be used in designing their future public and open spaces. Lastly, the site will be planned and designed through an eco-polycentric approach where diversity, ecological services, accessibility, and multifunctionality will be prioritized. This will be seen in our sectoral plan and master plan later. The core of the design will be the combination of natural-based solution, gray and blue-green infrastructure to create balance and increase the city's flood resiliency. With this, we have come up with our own meaning of Iman, which is to integrate, mitigate, accentuate, and nourish. We integrated the design strategies to achieve the mission and vision of this project and produce a sustainable solution. We provided preventive measures and strategies to minimize the effect of flooding while giving importance to their culture and beliefs. Lastly, we considered the city's growth and health in terms of environment, culture, citizens, and economy. Next slide, please. Thanks. Then we came up with our master plan where there will be a protection zone for defense, aquacultural zone for aquatic cultivation, agro-industrial zone for agricultural industry, and tourism zone for tourists and religion. Then we have provided mangrove plantation for coastal defense, fishing port for fishermen, riverfront for ecosystem and tourism, like an embankment for defense, and public open space for gathering and celebration. The sectoral plans show our detailed consideration in creating the master plan. We identified the probable ecotourism zone, tourism zone, economic zone, and agro-industrial zone in terms of the existing land use. We have also mapped out the possible area for the multi-purpose facility or temporary shelter and placed it in higher topographic level than the normal one. We have also mapped out the areas where we can put ecological services, including the provision services, which is for food and water, cultural services for recreation, tourism and religion, supporting services for fauna habitat and emergency shelter, and last, regulating services for stormwater management and air quality control. Then we have come up with a proposed land use plan, including high-density residential, business, tourism, agriculture, aquaculture, and flood protection area. Dara will discuss the design strategies in more detail. Thank you.
To further elaborate the master plan we propose to incorporate with the project, here are the design strategies based on ecological services that we want to develop on the site. Starting with the regulating services or the designs that deal with managing the flood, we have the dikes and embankments as a short-term solution and will support the site in case of flooding. Second, we have the mangrove flood control. It is a cost-effective long-term solution and the most natural design to mitigate the damaging effects of storm, flooding, and coastal erosion that commonly cause the land subsidence in Penjang wetland. Next, we have a coastal and stream buffer zone that will not only protect the locals, but will also provide coastal habitat, a real chance of regeneration. Still under the long-term strategies, we propose the promotion of planting native plants and trees that will impact a lot to the flood problem and lead subsidence of Penjang wetland. Lastly, bioswales and proper drainage design will surely last a lifetime for the site that will also reduce overflow, improve surface water quality, and helps recharge groundwater and also mitigate natural land accretion. Now, under the design that has provisioning service, we have the revitalization of fish ponds that will enhance the aquaculture practice in the city and will provide livelihood opportunities for the people in the long run. For a cultural service design, we propose open public space and mosques that create opportunities that connect the community and boost its economy and social connectivity. On the supporting services design, we have the establishment of a permanent multi-purpose facility that may act as a temporary shelter in the event of a flood or storm surge. And finally, as a supporting service design, we have the riverfront park and riparian ecosystem. It will help to restore the river's ecological and social functions and will help to control flood risk by enhancing the river's natural ability to hold the water. Here are some perspectives of our proposed development. Here we have the mangrove coastal defense, bioswale, gray and blue-green infrastructures, public spaces, revitalized pond, open spaces and mosque, and the bioswale. Over here, we have also suggested a list of softscape and hardscape that will more empower our proposed design strategies. Here are some species of mangroves and other flood-resistant plants in their Indo names. We have the bakaw minyak, api-api puti, berembang, bakaw kurap, nipa palm, tiwup-tiwup, siguta, and kitapang. For the hardscape, we highly suggest the use of permeable materials for stormwater management, such as porous asphalt, permeable interlocking concrete pavers, and pervious concrete. In the image below, this is our schematic diagram for our proposed flood management in Penjang wetland. Starting from the left, we have the maintained area, the mainland area. Next is the dike and embankments before our proposed 150 meters coastal buffer, and last is the mangrove forest as the frontliner. And finally, on the diagram here, we show how each design strategy or solutions respond to different problems of the site. It is observed that each approach has multifunction. Now, to summarize, coastal landscape plays a significant role as a natural barrier that balances up to the ecosystem between land and the sea, which brings a strong impact to the economy, social, and environment of the community itself. Thus, various design strategies and solutions have been proposed in order to conserve the beauty of the Pecalawan city that envision to enhance the resiliency in flood adaptation, combining gray and blue-green infrastructure without neglecting the site's culture. And that would be all for the group of Ecoman. Terima kasih. A good day to everyone.
All right, thank you for that. That was fast. No, I wish we could do this all day. Sadly, we are now down to our last presenter, Raya Alexis Gallardo, to present their group's outpost, Coastal Essence. Raya, you may now have the screen. Thank you.
Good morning to everyone. This is Coastal Lessons, designing for community resilience to fluvial and coastal flooding through the Pekalongan cultures of art and adaptation. This is a group project made by Abdul Goffer of UICM Indonesia, Amanda Puti Jasmine of IPB University, Hanum Kutsum Nabila of Sumatera Institute of Technology, and I am Raya Gallardo of the University of the Philippines, Diliman, presenting our project on behalf of my teammates. So Coastal Lessons is a play on the words of coastal and coalescence, because this design project is a coalescence or a combination of various design strategies to address the complex issue of flooding in Panjang Wetan, Pekalongan, Indonesia. So Panjang Wetan is located on the north coast of Central Java Island and is lined by the Kalibanger Stream. Hence, it is affected by floods every year, with some areas inundated or flooded on a daily basis. So these floods cause damage to residential areas, hamper economic activities, and generally pose a threat to the communities in the area. So the area's main weakness is its flooding. Despite it, though, the community remains strong in spirit and their culture of crafts remain the center of their industry. Our team, though, found that there must be a way to address both the weakness and the strength with landscape interventions that address the flooding, as well as the people's livelihood and their daily activities. Of course, with the hindsight of the rising sea level and also the continuous urban development in the area. Now, a closer look into the flooding. While there is an obvious risk of the flooding by the coast, we found that the inundation or the actual flooding is more inland, or it's worse inland, near to the stream or the river, which makes the problem of flooding even more complex, with drivers such as river flow, precipitation from storms, and rising coastal water levels, among others, that compound to greater impact to the area. So this design proposal, our design proposal, aims to address not just the coastal flooding, but also the fluvial or the river flooding in Panjang Wetan. Of course, also banking on the identity of the place, which is their culture of batik. Panjang Wetan or Pekalongan is known as the Batik City. And as batik has been thoroughly explained by the past groups, for our team, our approach was to further explore specific batik motifs or patterns unique to the area, such as this parang motif, which looks like a stretch of jagged rocks that act as a natural coast guard, very aligned and appropriate to our coastal theme. And also this kawang motif, which represents being useful or having a purpose and or a role in the community. From the kawang motif, from its 5 portions, we based our planning approach, focusing on 5 also, a coalescence of 5 concepts, each with their respective zoning and introduced landscape strategy. So for our, at the center of our framework is the local community, of course. For them, the zoning is a mixed-use residential with the landscape strategy of ruko housing. Ruko is an Indonesian word we will expound on later. For coastal resilience, we have the existing and to be expanded mangrove plantation using the guludan planting technique, also an Indonesian technique. And then for fluvial resilience, for the fluvial flooding, we have our riparian landscape. We will introduce a wetland linear park, which will be a 100-meter buffer from the river. And then for food security, as well as representing the other basic necessities of the people in the area, we have our fish ponds and fish market zones, which we will introduce aquasilviculture to. For our industry, we have our existing batik family businesses, which we will zone here by the river, and we will be enhancing their batik tourism and introducing bahari tourism, or naval tourism, which we will expound on more later. So this is our simplified master plan, starting with the local community areas. We have ruko, I mentioned earlier. So ruko means it's a living quarters on top and then commercial space below, basically a mixed-use residential area. And we see coalescence between the residential and commercial areas here. Since it's very appropriate because the batik industrial centers are actually mostly family-run businesses. And then for the flooding, we imagined elevated structures. So the lower ground area could be for commercial space, as ruko is, or can also be evacuated during floods, or also a garage for small boats for the daily inundation in the area. Next, for coastal resilience and food security, we have the mangrove plantation that we propose to expand by the coast. So there's a small mangrove plantation here now, but we want to expand it using the guludan mangrove planting technique. By reclaiming the fish ponds that are existing in this area, we will be planting mangroves according to the guludan mangrove planting technique. This way, we can also introduce food security through aqua silviculture, or the multi-purpose and historically high-yielding fish production alongside mangrove reforestation. Now, the mangrove plantation also somewhat coalesces with the residential area as greenery and also as livelihood. And the tidal, flood, and coastal protection of the mangrove plantation in the long term. For fluvial resilience, we have a riparian wetland park alongside the Calibanger stream, expanding its immediate zone up to 100 meters based on literature, with rain gardens and swales to mitigate the flood, while also providing people with access to the area for research, tourism, recreation, and education. And then for industry, historically, commercial areas have been founded near the rivers. And at both ends of this stream, we have, on top is the fish port market and the boating dock, an entrance to the sea, and also the Batik and Bahari tourism centers as an entrance to Pekalongan or Panjangwetan itself. We ideally also, we propose that the riparian landscape also act as a natural filter to the anticipated waste of the industries at both ends. And with that, we have our palette of softscapes for our interior riparian landscape, and also to its edge. This is based on the local species appropriate for riparian landscapes, according to my Indonesian groupmates. We also have our mangrove zonation. So mangrove plantation, we studied the existing species and zoned them accordingly to their characteristics, from seaward front to the middle and to the back or the landward. And our hardscapes, we intend to use local materials, of course, also in line with our concept of batik, or using or maximizing what is already existing in the community. So with the community at the center, of our design, we have our mixed-use rupos, with setbacks and elevations. Oh, is it working? Oh, sorry. According to our flood, insertion of green spaces, with our rain gardens and swales through the riparian landscape, and the integration of our mangrove plantation within the community for flood mitigation as well. Creating a community within Panjangwetan, a community with a culture of art and resilience. So the problem of flooding in Panjangwetan is very, very complex. So if it was easy, then it would have been solved already. So this design project is simply an exploration of the identified priorities and what landscape interventions can be introduced to address to each. Of course, with a disclaimer that problems and solutions are not 1:1, but are multifaceted and a combination or a coalescence of many things. Again, this is Coastal Lessons, designing for community resilience to fluvial and coastal flooding through the Pekalongan cultures of art and adaptation. Thank you very much. Good morning.
All right. Thank you for that, Raya. No? And thank you to all of the presenters. Terima kasih. All right. Well, before anything else, let me take this opportunity to thank the IPB University for continuously collaborating with our college. Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation and for giving us the platform to collaborate and exchange cutting-edge ideas with your students. And to our friends and colleagues from IPB, you're always welcome here in the Philippines. All right, let's invite again all the presenters this morning. Could you please open your camera and our technical team will spotlight you. All right, we have Dara, Raya, Ivy. All right, perfect. Well, let me use this moment to congratulate this year's ILAS participants from the University of the Philippines, Diliman College of Architecture. Again, we have Dara Almazan, Irish Castillo, Daphne Corpus, Camille Delavin, Hazel Ismino, Raya Gallardo, Rafael Yaban, Ivy Ong, and Ager Thailand. Again, congratulations to all of you, and you did give us a fantastic set of presentations this morning. No? So I hope our viewers, YouTube viewers, and Zoom participants enjoyed it as much as I enjoy it. All right, let's now down to our question and answer portion. Are you ready? All right, here we go. My first question is, did you learn any Bahasa expression during the workshop?
Yes, sir.
Sige.
A lot, a lot.
Yes.
All right, Raya. Give us
Ay.
an example.
I think Raphael has better examples, I think, sir. Because he like him, we were also the lone non-Indonesians in the group. But he had more, I guess, what do you call, more intimate experience with the language because his group mates would not speak in English at all. Only one, I think, would interpret for him after a while that they will all speak in Bahasa. So, Rafael, would you want to share maybe what you learned or picked up from your group mates?
Hello. Thank you for that, Raya. So, first, one of them is Bang. So that's like Kuya, I think. Yung katumbas niya sa Filipino. Another one, I already knew this beforehand, but I learned from them what it means. Because I told them this is the only Bahasa word that I know. I said goblok, right? And they said it means in Tagalog, I guess that would be like bobo. So yeah.
All right. All right, no problem. No. Well, could you please share us some of the highlights and the beautiful memories you've had during the workshop? Let's have IB.
So one memorable moment is when we share yung culture something na may mga videos, and there we learn a lot. We see a lot of videos from Malaysia and Indonesia, and we see a lot of their culture, yung mga food nila, yung mga traditions nila. It's really amazing. Yeah, and yeah,
Yeah,
that's all.
that's yeah, that's true. That's really one of the beauties of joining this international conference, no, for you to explore other culture and be exposed to the richness and the diversity of the culture that they have there. So good for you, good for all of you. What about Hazel? Could you
For
please?
sorry, sir. So for me, I learned so much from them. Like we had a meeting in Zoom, then we always proceed with asking, like learning our languages. Like we learned that kak means ate, and then the word ngaret. Ngaret means like some like Filipino time. It's always late. Like so you will say ngaret, you will say like that. And then we also told them some Filipino words, and then we also learned the Indomie. So mi is for noodles. And then yeah, I think that's the most memorable time for me. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Well, hopefully all of you were never ngaret during the workshop. All right. But what about some Filipino words that you teach to them?
So some Filipino words, we told them that pogi ka means you're ugly. But at the end, we already said to them what's the real meaning of it. So pogi ka, maganda ka, and then last we told them some sort of like goblok, but in Filipino terms. So that's all. Thank you.
I see. Yeah. Well, most of my Indonesian friends are really the kindest friends that I've had when I was doing the workshop and also attending conferences. No, very mabait, mga Indonesians. Let's now go down to the more technical stuff. Are you ready? All right. So from your 4-day collaboration and exposure to the challenges faced by Indonesia, what are some of the notable common challenges faced by coastal communities in their country that is also comparable to our country? Sige. Let's have Raya.
Kapag technical, ako yung sinasalang. Ano ba yan? Gusto ko rin mag-share ng culture. Joke lang po. I guess, at the very beginning, we knew it would be very similar because Indonesia is also an archipelago, much like our own country. So with that, there are many coastal areas, and then with coastal area, there's flooding, and then of course, the threat of climate change and sea level rise. These are all very, I guess, universal problems in a sense. And universal problems that have no apparent solution. So I guess we can see it from there that our flooding problems here are also problems elsewhere, and that we are also trying to find a solution to such. I guess what's interesting though, or what I found most interesting learning about the flooding problem in Indonesia is that the flooding is not just the coast. And then in our presentation, we explored the river, but it's also not just the river, but in Panjamator and Pekalongan specifically, they have a problem with groundwater extraction. So I think that's one of the things that we weren't able to really explore because it's a very complex issue. But groundwater extraction in Indonesia roots from their inaccessibility to having potable water or water in general, which leads to the sinking of their land and contributes more to the flooding. So it's like while their sea level is rising, their land is actually also sinking. So it's just it's alarming and also interesting at the same time. But in the Philippines, I guess the closest example would be like Muntinlupa. So I used to live in Muntinlupa also. Muntinlupa is known for their groundwater extraction. And slowly, Muntinlupa and carrying the rest of Manila is sinking also as well. And hence, it's something I think we as landscape architects can look into besides just coastal flooding and whatnot. So there, I'm not sure if I answered the question, but very interesting, I think.
Yeah, very well said. No, I also like the fact that you were able to bring in your personal experiences here as you collaborate with other students. And that's important. No, you representing, well, all of you representing the college and bringing in your personal experiences, the skills that you've learned in the college, the all the things that you've learned from your professors, because these achievements, these successes are also the success of the college. Perhaps let's have another answer from Irish.
Hello, everyone. Sorry if my connection is not that good because I'm
No,
at
you're
the
good. You're good.
house. Yes,
Alright.
okay. So probably one thing that I have seen that is very rampant, the lack of political will, the determination of politicians or some national governments to do or say things that will produce a desired outcome towards the coastal problems. And apart from that is the funding, because funding, every development can start from funding. Even though we have this concept, we have proposed a lot of things to do in relation to providing solutions to this specific problem. But if we have no such funding and political will from these actors, we would have achieved that. So I think it's very important that we have the support of the local government, the national government, and especially the community, because I believe that if we have these collective voices, if we have this collective actions, in the end, our government can hear us, just like what we do here in the Philippines, because we have something to fight for. So that's, I think, it's important. Thank you.
Yes, that's correct. No, I agree that we really need to amplify the voices of the local communities because in the end we want to capitalize on their own experiences, their own knowledges. They're the ones facing these challenges along the coastal areas, along the coastal landscape. So we really need to empower them, give them the voice, and invite them now to collaborate and create meaningful solutions as we generate and use our skills as a landscape architect. All right, very well said, Irish. Perhaps you want to add on that, Dara?
Yeah, I'm actually one thing that I observed, I don't know if Raya and Rajesh mentioned this, but I think the lack of clean water because of the lack of clean water because the flood also affects the clean water of the site. So I think that's a major problem that I think the site should address, because of the lack of clean water, the fish ponds are not able to be used properly. So even they have a lot of fish ponds on the site, and that is considering that's one of their major livelihood in the area. I think that's one thing that they need support, that will also support Irish comment about the problem of the voice, giving them an opportunity, livelihood opportunity of the people. Yeah.
All right, thank you for that, Dara. No, again to, all right, Camille, do you want to add some more?
Yes, sir. In relation to in relation to Irish's answer, aside from the lack of the political will, there's also a lack of initiative from the people there. Because even the most common problem, which is the improper waste management or disposal, they aren't making a slight, or I mean, they aren't making a movement to actually solve the problem, that immediate problem, and it's actually affecting the water there, because it actually poses a potential to like contaminate the water that they are using, and it's actually bad for the plants there, and of course their livelihood too. That's all from my end.
All right. So coming from that perspective, no, I think we also need to strengthen capacity building among these communities. No, if you think that they have the lack of willingness to help and to preserve their environment, I'm pretty sure that we could do so much more to them by asking important questions and really allowing their voices to emerge during equitable knowledge sharing. No.
But sir, sorry to add to
Sige,
that.
go ahead.
Mirroring their like their situation there into here in the Philippines, the Filipinos also actually practice that act. Like they don't really care much about the proper waste disposal. So I don't know. I guess we can start from the most parang a little complicating things to start, and then we can spread out to those more complex stuff.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the complexity of environmental challenges and perturbations and the degradations that are happening not just in the country, not just in Indonesia, they are all big problems that cannot be, answered by a simple, oh, you have to manage your waste properly. No, we all have to digest these complex problems and go through it one by one. And that's the beauty of you coming from the Philippines and joining this international workshop. No, to really bring in the voices in the Philippines, the experiences that the Filipinos are experiencing today. Now, so job well done to all of you. Again, Rafael, do you want to add some more?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to add to that. I suppose a similarity that I can point to that they have there that is also similar here is very rapid urbanization, and because of that encroachment of the city into these areas, because the coastal area, like traditionally ano siya, diba? Like aquaculture, but now we see the city encroaching on it na wala nang buffer. It's right there up to the coast, and medyo ano din siya. It's like away from like traditional kind of housing na. They've gone for like on ground na out of modern materials. So hindi siya appropriate for that area. So I think that's something also that we have here. Now we have access to like these modern materials. We can build quickly, but we apply it to everywhere, like as a template solution rather than having something unique to the site conditions. So yeah, that's all.
All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you for that, Rafael. No. Again, going back to a more, I'd say, personal questions. No. Apart from gaining new skills, gaining new friends and knowledge during the workshop, I'm more interested about the things that you've learned about yourself while you are doing the workshop and collaborating with other international students. What are the things that you discover about yourself? All right. Yes, go All right, let's have Raya first and then Camille.
Okay, I think this will be speaking on behalf of most of us also in the UPCA delegation. Is that I think for many of us we learned that we have quite the leadership skill also, because we worked in groups, and everyone, of course, all the delegates are very much talented and skilled in their own ways. But I think what we can take pride in as the Filipino delegates is that perhaps it was our mastery of the English language or whatnot, but there was an eminent leadership from each of us. So there was one Filipino in each group. So it was we were very much delegated among the different groups, and the experience was rather shared. That we all took charge, we all brought the group together, and I think for most of us, I think we were also the ones who presented presented our group's presentation. So as very much like this now. So that's something. It's I guess well, we don't have a lot of platforms or experiences to be able to lead, because we have a lot of individual works in our home college. So being able to do that again, working in groups again now, and then seeing how we can shine in our own way was a very I guess fruitful or very fulfilling experience.
I see. All right, thanks for that, Raya. No. Let's have Camille.
To add to Raya's answer, I also saw that everyone is very persevering. Like despite the idea or the knowledge that most of our members are, I don't know, they are very good, but yeah, sometimes we always take the initiative, and despite that, all the hardships we experience, we are still pushing through. We're still pushing forward. And then more on the fun side, I actually realized that I myself can become quite the extrovert. Because I'm not that much of a people person, the one who speaks most of the time. But during our group work or group meeting, it was actually fun talking with them. Yeah, it was nice voicing out my idea, my opinion into my group mates. That's all.
All right, thank you for that, Camille. Let's have Rafael first, Irish, then Hazel. All right.
Hello again, sir. I just wanted to mention it's not that personal, but it's related to the experience. I realized how important the way you present an idea is, because within our group, it was hard to communicate, but we were still able to come up with ideas. We had a lot of ideas, but I feel like during the actual presentation, we weren't able to present it in a very coherent manner. We just had it all there. I fixed it up for this. If in the original, we had very detailed analysis, very detailed inventory, but it didn't support it wasn't presented in a way that supported the overall proposal. So I think that was something I learned.
All right, thank you for that, Rafael. Irish.
Hello, sir. Oh my God. My internet is now acting. Okay, so now one thing that I have really learned about myself is that I can relate with Camille because I'm an introvert person, but but in terms of socialization, when it is needed, I really try to be extrovert. And then one thing really that is very important to note is that we are really thankful for our professors, the previous professors that they taught us to be pressed for time. They taught us to there's this skills, and then we were doing that that specific project, and then we just started like 2 days ago before the submission, and then we started just conceptualizing a day before. And then that's something that that's not new to us because we're used to doing that, and we were trained to do that. And that's all because of our professors in the UP College of Architecture. And that's something that's priceless, I would say, because as they say, experience is the best teacher. So that's all.
All right, thank you for that, Irish. Hazel.
Hello, sir. So, other than leadership skills and mastery in English, So we became confident in speaking more in English. And also we learned to be more compassionate and considerate with others. So considering they are in their lower year, like most of them are like second year and third year. So we became more considerate on what they can offer to us, and then on how we can incorporate their ideas in our ideas. And then we have also learned to communicate better, like and be considerate in terms of sometimes they have electricity problems, they have internet connection problems, so we need to be more considerate of that. And then we learn to be more patient in asking for like their deliverables to be sent to us. So that I think that's the best thing that I learned in this workshop, like be more compassionate and considerate. Yeah.
All right, Hazel.
Hello, sir. Yeah, I'm done na po. Thank you po.
All right, sige. Sino pa ang gusto mag-add? Ager, do you want to add something?
Yung natutunan ko po is yung parang mas naging confident ako sa sarili ko na magsalita since kadalasan po hindi po ako yung nagli-lead sa group ganun. Tapos dito po sa workshop na to parang mas naging confident ako na sabihin yung mga ideas ko in English kasi parang hindi po ako ganun ka-fluent, I mean. Tapos pag sa kanila kasi since hindi rin naman sila maano masyado sa English, feel ko hindi nila i-judge yung pagsalita ko ganun. Tapos mas na-improve ko po yung collaboration skills ko ganun. Yun lang naman po.
All right, thank you for that honest answer, Ager. No, so again, some of the keywords that I've had from your answers: no, leadership, perseverance, being sociable, introvert, at the same time extrovert. Experience is the best practice, compassionate, being considerate, confidence, collaboration. These are a lot of soft skills that you've gained and beautiful memories and experiences that you've had during the workshop. But on top of all, we would also like to congratulate all of you. No, all of you did an amazing job representing the college, representing UP, and our program now to an international stage. But down to the last session of our online event for this morning. No, let me just bring in the list of awards. All right. So we've had 3 group awards and 1 special award now, starting with the best essay by Raya Alexis Gallardo with her essay entitled From Ridge to Reef. Congratulations, Raya. Do you want to say something?
I guess I'm actually a shifty to landscape architecture. I came from a very essay writing heavy course, so I actually enjoyed being able to write about landscape architecture. Parang mixing all my interests po kasi coastal landscapes, and then being a landscape architecture student, and then also with the essay writing. I'm very happy I was able to I had a way to release all those interests, so to channel all my interests into a platform. So very thankful po. Yeah.
All right. Congratulations again, Raya. No? For the 3rd best project, we have the project Anagata by Maria Camille Frisha Delavin and Ivy Cyrus Ong. May gusto ba kayong sabihin?
I don't know what to say. We're actually quite surprised that we won that. Yeah, our labors have, bore the fruit. Charot. Yun lang po.
We are
Thank you
just
for the
happy.
recognition. Thank you for the recognition.
Yes, Ivy, do you want to say something?
Like Camille said, we really don't expect to win. So we are just happy that they appreciate what we have worked on.
All right, thank you for that. Our 2nd best project, we have project Responsive City from Irish Castillo and Daphne Corpus. Speech.
Yeah, so we're really thankful with our group mates because we're so lucky to have them. They're very collaborative, and we don't have to tell them, okay, join our meeting, because they have this initiative to do so. And also, like Camille and Ivy, we also didn't expect to win that award. And yeah, we're just thankful for the opportunity to voice out our our goal, because we joined there to tell our pledge to join the campaign to protect the coastal landscapes. And then yeah, we just didn't expect that we won. Daphne.
All right, Daphne.
Yes, sir. I would just like to thank our group mates and also our mentor for guiding us and for the initiative to tell us how we can, the first step, how we can solve the issue or concern in the site. That's all, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So for our best project, the project Coastal Lessons by again Raya Alexis Gallardo and her group mates. Raya.
Again, thank you also to my group mates. I'm not sure if they're watching, but we've become very good friends also throughout the program. We also did not expect or plan or aspire to win. We mostly just wanted to learn from each other, and learn from each other we really did. So thank you again for the opportunity to learn and also bring honor to our university.
All right. Again, congratulations to all of you. No, you did bring so much pride to our college, and on behalf of our professors, the landscape architecture program, and the whole LA community in our college, congratulations to all of you. No, I guess this is the end of our online event for this morning. Again, thank you to our YouTube viewers, to our presenters, to our Zoom participants. Thank you to all of you.